Hello, my dear friends. I am Devanshi. Today, let's revise the chapter Reproduction in Plants, which is one of the important chapters of biology, and it is chapter number 8 of Ncert class 7th Science. So, let's start. First, let's talk about what is reproduction. The production of new individuals from their parents is known as reproduction. Now, here are two modes of reproduction. First is sexual reproduction and second is asexual reproduction. Now, most plants have roots, stems and leaves, and these are known as the vegetative parts of the plants. After a certain period of growth, most plants bears flower, as you all know. You may have seen the mango tree flowering in spring. Yes? It is these flowers that give rise to juicy mango fruit to enjoy and savor, isn't it? We eat the fruit usually discard the seeds. Seeds germinate and form the new seeds. So what is the functions of flower in the plants? Can you guess? Yes, exactly. The flowers perform the functions of reproduction in the plants. Flowers can also be known as, yes, reproductive parts. There are several ways which we can produce the offspring, and first one is the sexual reproduction, as I told you, and second one is yes, asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, plants give rise to new plants without any seed. And whereas asexual reproduction, new plants are obtained from the seeds. So this is one of the major difference between the asexual and sexual reproduction. So first let's start with the asexual reproduction, knowing it about it in detail. Asexual reproduction have four types. So let's start with the first type, that is vegetative propagation. It is a type of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from roots, stem, leaves and buds. Since the reproduction is through the vegetative parts, did you remember I told you that these are the vegetative parts? So because reproduction is through the vegetative parts of the plant, it is known as vegetative propagation. So this was about the vegetative propagation. Next process is of budding. The bud gradually grows and gets detached from the parent cell and forms a new yeast cell. Budding is mostly happening in yeast. One of the example of organism in which budding is happening is yeast. Yes, the new yeast then grows, matures itself and produces more yeast cells. Sometimes another bud arises from the bud, forming a chain of bud too. If this process continues, a large number of yeast cells are produced in a very short period of time. So now this was about budding. And now you must be thinking, what is a bud? The small bulb-like projection that is coming out from the yeast cell is known as a bud. So this was about budding. Next one is the, yes, fragmentation. You might have seen these slimy green patches in the ponds or in other stagnants near water bodies. Now what are these? These are, yes, algae. When water and nutrients are available, algae grow and multiply rapidly by fragmentation. Algae can also be said to as spirogyra. An alga breaks up into two or more fragments. Fragments are basically pieces. These fragments or pieces grow into new individuals, and this process continues and they cover a very large area in a very short period of time. Now next one is the spore formation, which is the last process of asexual reproduction. Spores are asexual reproductive bodies basically, and each spore is covered by a hard protective coat to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature or low humidity, etc. So they can survive for a very long period of time. Under favorable conditions, a spore germinates and develops into a new individuals. Plants such as mosses and ferns also reproduce by this means of process, that is spore formation. So this was all about the asexual reproduction. Now next mode of reproduction is the sexual reproduction. Now you have learned earlier about the structure of leaf, yes? Now you know that flowers are the vegetative parts of a plant, stamens are the main reproductive parts, and pistil is the female reproductive part, as you all know. Flowers which contain only pistil or only stamens are called unisexual flowers, and flowers which contain both stamens and pistils are known as bisexual flowers. Corn, papaya, cucumber produce through unisexual flowers, whereas mustard, rose, and penuna have bisexual flowers. Both male and female unisexual flowers may be present in the same plant or in different plants. Now, could you identify the anther and the filament of a stamen? Anther contains pollen grains which produce male gametes. A pistil consists of stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary contains one or more ovules. And the female gamete or a egg, female gamete can also be known as egg, is formed in an ovule. Yes, exactly. And in sexual reproduction, a male and female gamete fuse to form a zygote, and this process is known as zygote formation. Now next, one of the very important process of this chapter is pollination. Generally, pollen grains have tough protective coat which prevents them from dying up. Since pollen grains are light, they can be carried away by wind or water. Now, the transfer of pollen from anther to stigma of a flower is known as pollination. There are two types of pollination. First is self-pollination, and other is cross-pollination. If a pollen lands in stigma of the same flowers of the same plant is known as the self-pollination, and when the pollen of a flower lands in stigma of other flower of different plant but of same kind is known as cross formation. So this was about the pollination. Now next process is also very important, and that is fertilization. The cell which results after fusion of gametes is known as zygote, as I told you about the zygote formation. The fusion of male and female gamete to form zygote is known as fertilization, and the zygote after some time develops into an embryo. Now let's see about how our fruits and seed form. Fruits and seeds formation. After fertilization, the ovary grows into a fruit and other plants of a flower fall off. The fruit is then ripened up, is basically known as ripened ovary. The seed then develops into ovules, and seed can also be known as ripened ovules. The seed contains an embryo enclosed in a protective coat. As you all know that some fruits are fleshy and juicy, such as mango and oranges. Some fruits are hard like almond and walnuts. So this was about fruits and seed formation. Next and the last topic of today is seed dispersal. In nature, some kinds of plants grow at different places, as you all know. This happens because of seed are dispersed from one place to different places. Sometimes after a walk through a forest or a field park, you might have found seeds of fruits sticking to your clothes. Yes? So did you try to observe how these seeds were clinging to your clothes? Yes. So some of the ways through which the seed dispersal takes place is through wind first, then through water, through sudden jerks. Okay, so this was all about today. Hope you learned very much in today's video. Thank you.